Hello everybody, my name is Dylan and this is my Module 5 discussion. On today's post, I'm going to be talking about the research that I did on the Bijao people of Southeast Asia. Now the Bijao, they are commonly known as sea nomads. They live along the coast of Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. They often spend up to 8 hours a day fishing and diving to maintain resources for their communities. In the Bijao culture, family is a central part of their communities, and it's often reflected in the structure of their tight knit and close proximity living. Um, and currently, climate change is the biggest factor um, in their impact. It's forcing them to have to adapt to modern land-based lifestyles, um, as um, as living is constantly being affected, not only by the environment but also by modern infrastructures, causing them to outreach for more land-based opportunities for commission. Um, Now, because the Bajau are so family oriented, they reflect and exemplify the example of collectivism. They act together to gain the resources for the community, and they share amongst themselves. Um, and this is just basically a integral part of their communal values. And it's their identity as being sea nomads. Their ability to share amongst themselves and provide for their families within their community is a um, big factor of respect and honor in their community. Um, and like I was saying, the Bijao, they basically emphasize collectivism. They value community and family ties, in contrast to many of the American ways that basically promote individualism, focusing on personal achievement and independence over familial connections. Um, and I think the biggest cultural shock to us, like Americans or people that are coming into the Bijao tribes community, is going to be their way of life. Like I said, a lot of their lifestyle is based on living on houses on stilts over the water. They're in the ocean a lot of their lives. And I think the biggest way to avoid anxiety in this type of cultural shock is to approach the situation with open-mindedness and a willingness to learn and adapt to their cultural norms, and also just do research and better understand their way of life so that you can understand the way that they communicate, the way that they provide for their family, and the way that they live every day. um, and that leads me into basically um, the um, the values that essentially set them aside the most is that are really unique to their culture. In the Bijao culture, rituals are also another essential part of their way of living. Um, they offer a lot of sacrifices to the sea to show their respect and their pride. And also their arts and craftsmanship is well known across the world. Um, their their boat making abilities are incredible. They also have a lot of weavers in their communities that are it's also a very well known tradition in their community. Um, and also music and dance play a large part in their celebrations. They don't only serve as entertainment; they also mean communicative values and impact the way that everybody understands their culture. Um, yeah, so which leads me into anything that would set them aside from them in the United States, what would be misinterpreted or what's different. A lot of the hand signals that they use and the gestures often would be different. While there's a greeting of respect in in U.S. culture, it could also mean or be offensive in the Bijao culture. So they can have reversal effects. So like commonly positive gestures in our society would be seen as offensive in theirs. Um, And that also goes for eye contact. Prolonged eye contact in their culture is actually seen as confrontational and disrespectful. And that also ties into the facial expressions. Smiling is a big part of their community. A smile in the Bajau culture may be used to mask discomfort or sadness. While in the US, it typically conveys happiness or friendliness. So there's those like vice versa kind of effects in their culture. So some things that may be positive in our culture wouldn't necessarily be the same in theirs. And I think the biggest takeaway from all this that I've learned is that it takes a degree of understanding and ambition to learn the cultural norms in the Bajau tribe and community. And it will require a lot of investing time and education into better understanding their cultural norms so that you don't come off offensive or you can be basically competent in their culture. So, thank you. Bye.